Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to V with Mike G, the show of life, the show of vodka, entrepreneurialism in Houston, and so much more. Today, we're chatting with the creator of Highway Vodka and the founder of the first black-owned distillery in Texas. That's actually very surprising that this is the first, because this is a recent development. But Ben Williams from Houston, really great guy, has a dedication to process and learning. He's had so many businesses over the years, and talking about his journey and these kind of interesting scenarios that he has. You know, it's his family has a deep, rich history in entrepreneurialism and activism in Houston, and it's great to dive into it further. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this great chat with Ben Williams.
Man, you know, the thing for me that I've kind of found is that, like, when I have like certain ideas and stuff like that come into my head and they just won't leave, you know?
Oh yeah.
It just becomes a thing, like, where, and I mean the kind that like wake you up at night sometimes thinking about it, and then I don't like to use the word obsession, but it is kind of obsessive-y. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, sure. And so what happens is like I have to kind of like get them out of my head. Like, I must see it through, like, just to see what this is about and if it was real or not. And like, and it's like I said, it's kind of like a gift and a curse, because, you know, you don't win them all, you know, but for me, when I have an idea that won't leave me alone and that's just really in my heart and mind, and it just has been there. Now these ideas curate for like over a year or two, you know what I'm saying? It's just a thing that won't go away. I just have to go ahead and get into it, man, and try to get it out of my head and make it tangible. And that's often how I feel like when you do that, your heart is really in whatever it is.
Right.
You know?
It haunts you at night, man. You know, I've been there. And the thing that I had a conversation the other day, which I'm curious how you feel about this, but I was thinking, it's like, you know, I was raised in whatever kind of way, single mom for a long time. And I was like, why now do I care about creating businesses? Right? Yep. And so I said, well, is this some innate thing genetically in me? Or is this the situation I've been brought up in? So basically nature versus nurture. So you have both. But do you think one's more dominant than the other?
I think the nature aspect, as far as I'm concerned, with my family and all that kind of stuff, is that there's kind of a legacy of entrepreneurialism, right? Or entrepreneurship, whatever. And so the best thing they ever gave me, well, one of the best things, is just the belief that when you have these ideas, you can go for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't have to be scared to attempt to do things that are weird, you know, or new or not standard, you know, and just create what you want to create and live in it, you know? And so that would be the nature aspect of it. That's the nurture aspect of it, actually. And the nature aspect of it is, I just believe, like, you know, by osmosis, I'm just doing what everybody in my family's ever done. You know, you just go out there, man, and you see something, you fall in love with something, and I'm going to do that. Yeah. And then whether it makes money or not, hopefully it does. But like, primarily, you just want to, it's not about money, really. It's more about just living in your purpose, right? And like wanting to do what you want to do with your time and your life, you know?
And that's something that, you know, I've interviewed a lot of second generation, third generation distillers and stuff. And I always wonder if there's this, because I'm first generation, for lack of a better phrase, right? I wonder if there's a sense of obligation that in a way you have to learn business. You have, if you don't follow did you ever get that sense that you over the family pressure?
Yeah, well, not family pressure at all. No, because my family, that's the cool thing. It was never any pressure to take up any of their businesses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's not really cool sometimes, because it's not cool for your family, say your mom or dad or whoever, build up something and their kids are like, yeah, I want to go and be a veterinarian, whatever, right? Well, what about all this? Where is this going to go? Like, I mean, that's not my thing. But it's a beautiful thing too, to be able to have that freedom to choose that and not, cause any ill will or anything like that for anybody. So, I mean, it's all a gift. Like I said, but see, like me now being a father and stuff, like I kind of hope that my kids want to come on in and do something with this. But if they don't, they don't,
That's
no pressure.
And that's great, because I think there's so much, it's like you follow family lines, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, your brother's also an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I'm from Houston as well. But so this whole story,
okay.
I don't want to call Katie Houston, but I will now.
Houston Metro.
There you go. That's good. Yeah. It used to not, like, it used to be completely separated.
It was.
I won't even get into what the handbook said when I moved to Texas. But, this whole thing starts in Houston. So which neighborhood you grew up?
So Fondren Southwest,
okay,
southwest side of town, went to Lamar High School.
Nice.
And then from there, on to Howard and stuff like that.
So at that point where you're kind of finishing up high school, for me at least, I had this kind of fork in the road, right? It's like, do I do music?
Right, of course.
Yeah. So where were you at then? Did you know that was just going to be the path? You're heading to Howard, you're going to go study operations and that?
Yeah, well, actually at Howard, I did psychology because I had no idea.
Me too.
Not
at Howard, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, because I just enjoyed psychology. So that's why I just chose a major that I would enjoy the homework, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to whatever, but not knowing what I was really going to do, during that time I was just throwing parties and stuff like that, so I knew I loved that whole thing, know, and you can make good money throwing parties and stuff, especially back then.
The promotion side of it?
Yeah. Exactly. You charging door charges and all that kind of stuff, and you walk away with a, nice little sum of change. So that was when I first, but even before then, like I was DJing parties in high school, and then started promoting stuff then, events and stuff like for high school stuff, step shows and all this kind of stuff. And but even before then, I was selling candy just for,
I knew it. Yeah, like either lawn services, candy, or lemonade or something.
Yeah. I even sold Playboy magazines a lot.
To who?
Oh man, to kids. That was bad. It's bad. X that out.
But we do that stuff when we're younger.
Yeah, I was only like 11, and a neighbor of mine had a stash. His dad came from the military. And he had a garage full of stuff.
No kidding.
So he would just sell them to me for like $1.
But the lesson is, right, the entrepreneurial spirit ran deep and it ran young, right?
Yeah, and it was fun. I just liked doing it. It was fun to like just go. I don't even know what I did with the money, especially back then. I mean, my dad would find money in my pockets, and he just assumed that he gave it to me. Like, okay, I mean, it's not like I could run out and buy anything. I'm 11 years old.
That's right.
But yeah, so.
What were your folks? Because I know your great grandmother is a well noted civil rights activist, first tech businesswoman in Houston, all that. But what your folks by that point, when that kind of entrepreneurialism had been distilled down a little bit? What industries were they in?
Parents, father's a lawyer.
Okay.
And my mother is an educator, and she founded a school.
Would you work in the board or something?
Yeah. Yep.
So you've got just such a lineage of this stuff, and. I mean, I wish that I did in a sense, right? Like I go back to generations. I don't even know where the hell I'm from.
Really? Well, I could kind of say that. Depending on how many generations you want to go. But
that's true.
But yeah, I mean, and I think that's just it though. Just kind of growing up around people that were doing their own thing and wide ranging things.
Yeah.
From the traditional doctor lawyer stuff to, restaurant owners to, hardware store owners to whatever, right? Just entrepreneurs, period. It just seemed like what it is. It never really came in my mind ever. I can say this with the fact that I ever thought about, okay, where am I going to go get a job? Like that was never in my head.
Yeah.
The one time I brushed against possibly getting a job was, I was doing an internship in college at EA Sports.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, on Madden.
Yeah. Okay.
So I won everything, by the way. I was the best that year. It was irrefutable. But so I won the company tournament and everything.
Oh, geez.
But they offered me a job when I finished school to come back out and work. And their catch point at that time was you, after 7 years with the company, you get an all expenses paid trip anywhere in the world that EA has a site for 2 weeks, right? And I was like, well, my older brother, who's also an entrepreneur, I just gotten back from that Christmas holiday before that summer of that internship with him he was doing this festival in South Africa, and I was out there with him for like 3 weeks.
Wow.
I was like, I mean, I've already done
2
that.
weeks?
Yeah.
Come on.
And 7 years from now.
Yeah, right.
So I was just like, yeah, no. And then the whole corporate thing, they used to come by the cube and say like, hey, have you seen John? And I was like, no. And they were like, you mind if you just kind of let us know when you see him come and go? I was just like, oh man, the vibe of it just didn't
So you knew
fit me.
You knew that whatever kind of, you can call it a cage, we can call it a box, we can call it cubicle, but that was not going to be your
I
career.
couldn't do it. Even though I loved working there, obviously it was great. But like, I just knew that the way that it worked, and I was looking at the guy who was, over where I would be if I came in, and he was like probably like 15 years older than me at the time. And I was like, well, if he's still here, I mean, I'll never go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it just didn't fit. You know what I'm saying? So I just, I never thought that way.
And so never looked back either.
No.
Kind of moving forward. And then one of the gigs that you had, I think when you were still in DC, was doing artist promotion. Is that right?
Yes.
What same kind of promotions that you were doing for DJs and parties in Houston?
just booking a club and promoting it and standing at the door and collecting, just having a good time, basically. And then from there, it kind of went to doing like proper concerts and venues and stuff like that.
Did you do any artist management ever?
Man, I played with that, but I just couldn't get into it. It's different. And I mean, at the time it was, I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. It was too much of, managing people's expectations. It's a lot, you know what I'm saying?
It's personalities, not the figures, right?
Exactly. And what they want, they expect of you and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was too much for me.
So what brought you back after this kind of nice stint in DC, finishing up your degree? Was it home that called you back? Was it a project, family, or was it the restaurant?
Family.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, Houston is where my roots are and connections were, and I mean, maybe I was just being lazy. I didn't want to go carve out a whole new life in a different city.
Sure.
Like my older brother, he did that, and he made it. But like for me, now I just wanted to kind of ease it a little bit,
Yeah.
So and I just went home, and the first thing I started was a janitorial services company.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like the time at Howard, and both of us know, working at a distillery, there is no shortage of getting our hands, our arms, our feet, and everything else dirty, man.
Or burned.
Oh, especially burned.
Right.
Or starting a fire, God forbid.
Right. I haven't done that.
Oh, I did that one time. That was, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But that's something that I think is also at the foundation of entrepreneurial spirit, right? Is that we lose sleep over the thing we're passionate about, and at any cost, we'll make it happen. Whether that means I got to go roll my sleeves up and put my hands in dirty lactic acid water, whatever. Right? And because people, did you ever think about what the perception is of you starting a janitorial company?
Oh yeah, man. I have a great story about so like okay. Without naming organizations, I was fortunate to land some, decent contracts or whatever. Just out there hustling it up or whatever. And so one client that I had, they had I forgot what it was called, young professional. They have those little organizations, young professional organizations. And but in this particular account, I would just clean that one literally myself. You know what I'm saying? Because it was, that was like my little honeypot account, I could just run through there and knock it out myself. And so they're having this meeting, and they had a lot of, beautiful girls in the thing and everything. And I happened to come through there one day, man. I was like, dang. So I'm pushing the cart, you know what I'm saying? All this stuff. And I'm just, I'm cleaning the building. I'm cleaning the toilets, vacuuming and stuff like that. And I'll never forget, they've been asking me to join this group a lot because I was doing okay.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I was doing pretty good. And so like, and I was just like, maybe so. I'm not really into that kind of stuff. But so I'm up there cleaning, and I guess I slammed the door, and all of a sudden this guy comes running back up the stairs, and I was just like, what's going on? He's like, hey man, we're the young professionals, and we're having a meeting down there, and you're interrupting, our business and all that stuff. And I was just like, okay, sorry about that, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward, they asked me to do do a promotion with them and stuff like that. And that guy, they introduced me to him, and he was just like, oh man, whatever, right? And then I'll never forget, like, the girls, because he really went hard on me that day.
Yeah.
And then when I left that day, and I had just bought this really cool truck, and I pulled around, I happened to be leaving when they were leaving, and I'll never forget when the girls just kind of slapped him on the arm, like, what are you doing? And then so I threw the party, and Beyonce showed up. And so, because she was a friend of my little brother, they kind of grew up.
And this is at the point, Destiny's Child days or before that?
Oh, yeah, no, she's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah. Well, she's not huge like now, but
yeah,
this was Destiny's Child, right a little bit after that kind of thing or whatever. And she's definitely Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so he showed up, and I'll just never forget how he tried to, man, that day, I didn't know or whatever, and it's cool. But the thing is, and it just kind of always taught me, like, you can never, like, you don't know who somebody is or what they're doing or what they're capable of. So just always keep it cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just keep it cool.
I don't know what your mantra is, but my mantra is don't be a dick.
Basically, it's that simple.
It is super simple.
It's the most simple, that's it.
Because you don't know where you come from.
Exactly.
You don't know how well off you are.
Right.
And people make all these kinds of assumptions.
And you don't know if I was going to punch you in the face either.
Right. Yeah, good
You know
point.
what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, like, you don't know but, he felt very entitled. He was the president of that group, and I guess he thought he was on something. And if you ask where that guy is now, I have no idea.
And it doesn't matter.
You know what I'm saying?
But you still remember that moment.
Yes.
Because I want to share a moment with you. I've never shared this on the show. So at this point, I went to Portland Cocktail Week, which is a great kind of event, a lot of vendors and stuff. And again, I seldom share stuff like this on the show. But I was sharing a bed because I booked too late. Everything was booked up. So I was sharing a bed with one of the owners of a fine bar here in Austin, Texas.
Right.
We've grown to be good friends. And he's kind of a playboy. So he kicked me out of the room the first time, right? And so a man in his early 30s, 2 degrees, good job, entrepreneur. I sat in a stairwell. Sorry, I almost slept in a stairwell with a hoodie in Portland, Oregon. And people, they just looked at me and they're like, I don't have any change, man.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
but
man.
I'm not. And to the one person that tried to give me a beer, cheers. That's
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying is you don't
know, man.
You expect.
You don't know.
So
just be cool.
Just be cool.
That's it.
And so, project after project, I know you've done so much, like during COVID times, there's $1, that's the thing that's interesting and also a little difficult for me is that when you do so much, what do I focus on as an interviewer, But I want to say that I love that your projects all kind of, they're around creativity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you, as a man, do you fancy yourself being pretty creative yourself?
Oh, dude, you know what? That's really what I fancy myself as, because what I am not is a manager at all. That is totally my weakness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got ideas for days, and I got cool ways to execute them, but minutia and detail, as far as like business operations and stuff, that is my weakness. And that, and then like, that's it, so I don't know, man. I mean, I would definitely more fancy myself as a creative than some, suit.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
for lack of a better
we've been here, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. I reckon that's pretty apparent that you're not a button up kind of guy,
Right.
When it comes to non-business ventures, do you have creative outlets for that? Do you paint? Do you write? Do you record? Do you still DJ by chance?
No. No, man, I guess as far as that goes now, it still kind of just all dives into, like, still business. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of what my family, like, we always, and sometimes it gets a little nerve-wracking because, Thanksgiving can get weird when everybody's just kind of talking about what's going on at work, so to speak. And this and that. And it's fun because we love everything,
Sure.
And so that's kind of where my creative goes, like into, different projects that are going on in my family. And we could do this. And, and that kind of stuff is where, so that's the kind of creative that I'm on now. I used to paint and all that stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One of my side hustles in high school is I used to make these graffiti painted jeans and stuff like that. They're all cut up and stuff. And so, yeah, but no, I don't really do any of that anymore. And I just kind of hang out with the kids and then just kind of lend my ideas to whatever we have going on collectively,
Yeah.
and try to help those things come out.
Balance is something I think is kind of, what's a divorced man called? Divorcee?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, something fancy, right?
I don't want to know.
Yeah. But I have time for all this stuff.
Right.
And I can still balance social and all of that because I don't have kids.
Yeah.
But I do wonder about the folks that I look up to and the businesses that they run, and they have so many things going on, if they're able to obtain balance. So for you, are you able to get that mental balance, some clarity and all that?
Oh, yeah, man. It's weird though. You do weird things like to just totally shut your mind off because it's hard. So I like to play word games, and I find like I'll just zone out on a word game, and that'll just kind of close off all that noise. Because the curse of entrepreneurship to me is the fact that you're never off.
Exactly.
Especially like if you're fortunate enough to get to where you own some physical assets like a building or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or you have a site here or there. You can't turn your phone off simply because that thing might be on fire.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, the not being able to turn your phone off is something that I find just a very interesting thing that can be problematic. You know what I'm saying? Because like you feel like you're a slave to it in a sense, and you just want, even if you're out of the country, you still have to be able to take calls.
Yeah.
Then as you start to grow and you have employees and stuff, and every employee kind of thinks they're your only employee,
right? Yeah.
So their concerns are huge to them, and you have to address it and stuff. But and sometimes, man, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I just want to go be like just work. I just want to ride the back of a garbage truck.
What?
Yeah. And then so I could just get off at 5.
It's done.
Yeah. And I'll see you at 8. Don't call me. Nothing. You expect nothing from me except for these hours of my day. And there's a freedom in that too. There's a freedom on this side, and there's a freedom in that side. And the gift of it all, and again, of the entrepreneur side, is not always money by no means. It's just the freedom to pursue your passions.
And you're right, because you talk about freedom in one way or the other.
Right.
Because a 9 to 5, you're not always passionate about.
Right.
But you have the freedom to then pursue your passions.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you're 9 to 5 or 9 to 9,
right,
is pursuing the passions, maybe that's everything.
Yeah.
But I get you, man. Sometimes it's like, I would love to just shake all of these obligations off.
Yeah.
And just do whatever the fuck I want.
Exactly. And you can. That's the funny thing. You can just fuck off as long as you want.
Yeah.
Only person that's gonna suffer though is you and the people that are responsible. You're responsible for.
Exactly.
But that's the hard part about entrepreneurship too, is because really, when you wake up, you don't have to do shit.
Yeah. You're right. Self-paced, right?
Yeah. I don't have to go anywhere if I don't want to.
Exactly.
But if you don't go, that's cool. Things are gonna slow down and stop. So that's why it's just important to be something that you love to do, because you're gonna get up and go do that.
Yeah, you gotta be motivated, right?
Yeah. By the passion.
That's right.
Well,
there's something in your narrative which I find I love it, man. You were distilling. Was it in the garage?
Yeah. So started in the garage, and then cop drove by my house and was like, that's illegal.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And so I moved the still over to my partner's barn. And he was really into cutting horses and all that kind of stuff. And so we would sit in the barn and just do our first runs and made some pretty horrible stuff. But
those are the good old days, right?
Yeah, man.
When
I'll
you
never
mess stuff
forget
up.
the first time we actually got the still to produce. I bought a little 13-gallon 6 fractionary column still or whatever, 6 plates. And what was it, 6? I can't remember. It was 6 plates. And it's funny because that's what we eventually ended up settling back on. But a good old sugar wash.
Yeah, I got you.
Man, that stuff started coming out. We were like, it's producing, and it was coming off at like right under 190.
Damn.
And it was just like, all right, we got to drink it straight off the still.
Oh shit.
Like, we have to initiate ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Man, we put our heads under there. Oh, that was horrible, but it was fun. We never forget that moment to this day.
Or the first time you drink heads because you didn't realize when you need to cut, you know?
That probably was part of it too, because like, I didn't even know it had to be heads.
Yeah, I bet.
I just thought about it because it was the first shit to come out.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know how it came out so hot. I didn't know anything at that point. I mean, this was literally, we had just been boiling water in it, trying to just learn to test for seals and all that. And then the first time we actually put a mash in there, and it actually produced, it was just too exciting. It's like, we got to initiate ourselves. No telling 100%. What we drank, dude.
You know, we just landed on the moon.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, it's just one of those moments that you record your first song, you have your first kid, and like this just monumental things. How long did it? I know it took you 2.5 years roughly to get the federal licensing.
Yep.
Is it because the location was difficult, or it was just?
No, that's interesting about, as you know, with setting up a distillery, how you have to have that location before you even
exactly right. Yeah.
So weird, right? And so we were fortunate enough that the barn qualified for the location, and Wendell, my partner, he owned that free and clear.
Nice.
So that made it a lot easier. That made it a lot easier to stomach 2.5 years, and it was mainly because of the hemp component that we have going on. Just trying to figure out what that is, and rounds of federal testing to make sure there's no THC.
Oh, so you were going to the formulas, you had to get that stuff all tested out.
You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. And that was after just getting.
Oh, after getting the permit.
The permit.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. That the product itself that you're making.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. So, it was crazy, dude. But finally got it, and then from there, so that's one monumental hurdle. But then the next thing is, okay, so you have a product that you like and people like, but then how are you going to get it to them, right? So distribution is the next monumental hurdle. And, I fell backwardly into an opportunity after getting turned down by, a lot of companies. I just was kind of ranting and raving to a friend of mine, and he wanted to call a friend that he knew to see, what could happen or whatever. Did he know anybody, basically? But that guy was Tom Montague at Silver Eagle, who's now the VP at Silver Eagle in Houston, which is the Budweiser house. And they're like, hey.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're about to start carrying spirits. Like, how would you like to, let us take a look at it. So, I didn't tell you. Like, so before this, like, leading up to even applying for the permit, at the restaurants and bars and stuff, I would do blind taste tests to see what people thought about what we were making. And boom, I was always winning, right? So that's what gave us the confidence to actually try to scale up and become a business.
I see. Yeah.
And so when I got with those guys, I did the same exact thing. I did a blind taste test. Boom, unanimously won. Everybody picked Highway. They picked us up. And so that's the funny thing. People always ask, like, what would you do, differently? And I was like, man, I would have started this business like way early. But then I think about it, Silver Eagle wasn't ready to carry spirits.
There you go. Yeah.
I got turned down by the big boys, so it probably wouldn't have happened. So everything happens when it's supposed to.
It does, man. It's fateful. And if you keep putting things out in a positive way, those things will return to you. But you just never know when. But one of the things that, I was kind of curious about, it takes money.
Yeah.
Was lending an issue for you? I know the massive inequality for black businesses in terms of lending, but maybe you had a really strong entrepreneurial network. How was that?
Well, to be honest, in anything that I've ever done, I've never had investors or anything, right? So like, so what we always do is, if we gotta start it off small, we gotta start off small. That's just what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, so there was never any go to banks. There was never any, I don't know, trying to get investors or any of this kind of stuff, because nobody wants to give you money anyway in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So now everybody wants to give, thank God. But like before, nobody. You know. So Nah, man, just start off small and muscle, just get it done. You know,
Yeah.
credit cards, whatever it is, whatever you have to do.
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and just kind of like, but fortunately by then, you know, some of the other stuff was kind of rolling pretty good. And, you know, like when my business partner, his other primary businesses were rolling well. So we were able to, you know, set up shop and stuff like that. Now, did we start off with, and even with that being said, we started off with not even a fraction of what most people start with. You know what I'm saying? As I kind of got into the business and I would meet people and I would see how they just come out the gate with this, and I was just like, golly,
I know, man.
that's so nice.
Yeah,
to
right?
be able to do, you know?
I think I feel like we had a similar mindset getting into it. It's like, all right, we're going to have a small still, we're going to do this thing, and then when we need a bigger still, we'll get a bigger still. Right?
exactly.
But you know how everyone's telling you, I'm sure, as I'm pointing my finger, right? No, you know, buy the biggest still you can get. I think that's the stupidest fucking advice,
Dude,
man.
because I mean, first of all, well, if you just got money to burn, do it.
Sure.
Do whatever
Yeah,
you want
yeah,
to do.
yeah.
But it's the same thing like from restaurants and stuff. Like I've seen people that when we were opening up one site, that come into the game at the same time, like $1 million, beautiful place, like has every piece of equipment you could ever want. They out of here in a year.
That's right. That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? There's something to be said for like when you're an entrepreneur and it's your money. Whenever those hard times come, you're gonna figure out a way, and being able to pivot and do that. That's the freedom too of not having investors or banks breathing down your back,
Right.
and starting off at a manageable rate that you can afford.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. You know, I love the science of stuff. I'm not. It sounds like you're into process enough. Although not your favorite part. Mine either. Like operations. Like I'd love to make stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but this thing about using hemp seeds.
Yeah.
To nourish the yeast.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible.
So how that happened, and I mean, like, and dude, when I tell you, I didn't know, you know, it was like I said, we were just making all kind of weird stuff, and a friend of mine opened a dispensary in California. I went out there to hang out with him, and that's when I got he introduced me to some friends that were, you know, actually doing some distillations with cannabis and stuff. So he knew enough about distilling at that point to pick up some of the cool things that was going on, like viscosity of the liquid, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I, when we got back home, you know, started ordering every part of the hemp plant, just trying to see, you know, how close I could get to some of the things they were doing. Again, just messing around.
For you, was it? Were you pursuing the textural similarity?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Because
That
it was
was
maybe
key.
a mouthfeel thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was really interesting. Like it was just more viscous than your standard spirit.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not. Don't think thick. I'm talking about it. It's a very subtle difference.
Sure.
But you can taste it. I mean, it just had a different mouthfeel, right? And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So we get home, start playing with hemp, stuff like that. Finally nailed onto the hemp seed. And then, you know, after years of figuring out different ratios and stuff like that. The first thing, once we got to the hemp seed, that's when we noticed, first thing we noticed, like, hey, our yields are, you know, when we do a run on a little 13-gallon still, the yields were getting large. We were picking up more alcohol. And I was just like, and it was fermenting a little bit longer. It took a little longer to ferment. And then, of course, all those oils and stuff that were forming in the fermenter. But I just, you know, and like I said, along the way, I read every book. I watched every YouTube video, just teaching ourselves how to do this, right? And so then I started trying to figure out, like, what's going on with this yeast? I mean, like, why are we getting a larger yield? And then I came to find out, like, that the amino acids in hemp were basically feeding the yeast. And so the yeast was living longer, working harder. And so, because, you know, I mean, you've played with those nasty nutrients and
it's unnatural.
turbo yeast and all that horrible tasting stuff comes from that. And so, so I mean, dude, it wasn't the plan.
But that's, you know what I think is really funny, because I was thinking about it. It's like, why? Because in my head I'm like, why does this work? I was like, oh, it actually has, hemp seeds have all 3 omega acids.
Yep.
3, 6, 9, or is it 6, 9, 12?
I don't know.
Yeah, but there's so much available hydrogen and stuff, and so the yeast are probably like, ooh, you know.
And so, like I said, the yields got larger. That was number 1, and then 2. Initially, what we used to do is like, so when it sits in the fermenter, be a thick layer of oil on the top, then the liquid, and then the grain. So we used to siphon that liquid off in the middle because it looks kind of like olive oil on top of oatmeal, and it's not cool. So, but then one day, just being lazy, because, you know, racking liquid is messy and sticky. Yeah. we just threw everything in the still, the oil, the liquid, and the grain.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that was the best stuff we had ever made at that point.
So y'all do that? Is that the process?
Yes, now yeah, we distill on the grain. The oil goes in. The everything goes in.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That oil kind of floats on top of the liquid, and the still kind of functioning as like the first layer of filtration for those vapors. So,
dude, I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna give you credit for that because that's something called con bagazo and mezcal.
Oh, okay.
Right, so they put the agave fiber in the still.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not everybody does that.
Yeah,
but many people do that, and it's ingenious. You start like whether it was intentional or not, and I love stuff that's a result of laziness. I really do because
that's legit what it was.
Like seriously, it's such a pain ass racket.
Yeah,
like you're totally right.
It is.
But that is truly compelling to me because you are physically putting other cool things in there that are going to come out in the distillate. Just even the sheer force of the vapor will lift some of those oils out.
Exactly. And so that's the cool part about so like then it came a whole thing of like, deciding how many, because by then we had experimented with everything from 4 to 12, plates. And so settling in on 6 and obviously collecting the hearts and stuff like that only. We were able, that mouthfeel that we wanted was there. And then the third challenge, I don't know how many we're up to now, but was the filtration, which is this whole
of course beast. Because you're going to take the oiliness out if you do too much, right?
So it was interesting because like when we were on the 13-gallon still days, we were just using Britas to filter, right? To cut. And so when it came time to scale, and you know how filtration, first of all, it's expensive as shit, right? Yeah. And it gives you no control over the media that you use,
right?
And then you don't have time to do just the gravity thing, whatever, right? So we kind of built our own filters so that we could control the media. And I went to a water plant where they give water treatment, kind of place, and found a cool guy, and we started dissecting that Brita and trying to see what was in there. And he's like, oh, I sell that, whatever. So bought all that stuff from him, went back to the distillery and started just kind of trying to come up with our own little blend of that stuff and how you want to stack it. And so playing with that, like, do you want to blend it all? Do you want to stack it? What comes first? Blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then comes down to like adjusting, like, what's the flow rate?
Right, yeah.
And so then playing with that, it's just over time.
Dude, and I get that.
And just trying to figure out like, what's the right flow rate to leave that body and mouthfeel and flavor, the nuanced characteristics of the flavor that come across from the process that we use. So that was really fun to have that level of control.
Well, and understanding too, as an owner, right? Because you're getting the minutia. You mentioned that. But so the resulting viscosity, the resulting silkiness, that's exactly where you want it now.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and then the cool thing is too is like it now is kind of like McDonald's in a sense because like the process from start to finish, except for fermentation, that's the only kind of fluctuation stuff. Yeah. But like after that point is very like step by step by step, like don't vary.
That's right.
That's the biggest thing. Like so our new lead distiller is my partner's daughter, and it's funny, like she's great. She has it down.
And I mean, I might add I want to see many more black females distilling because I can't. There's not a really big history of it, right?
Oh no.
So this is a great achievement for y'all.
Yeah, for her. You know what I'm saying? But I'll never forget when she first was like when we first kind of started leaving her to it, and I came and she would always like, okay, come taste, whatever. I'll never forget it. She gave me one. I was like, what did you do? And she was like, well, I was like, nope. Cannot vary. You can't vary. And like, but no, she's been good ever since. Great, actually. And now, I mean, like, she's really rolling with it. So it's exciting to see. And that goes back to that family thing because his daughter, she's into it.
Yeah, that's
so that's kind of mission accomplished on that.
And you don't meet a lot of distillers for one,
right?
And you sure shit don't meet a lot of female distillers.
No, and she's cute.
Yeah, that's a good point. Which is even a smaller thing. I mean, I don't know over well, through the industry, but I think I do agree with you.
Yeah, it's really cool. Though.
So being knowing that the distilling in Texas has grown just profoundly, and it took us this long to finally have the first black-owned distillery. I mean, is that a source of pride for you? Is it just how that works out because it's just your vision? It's after. Yeah. Do you ever reflect on that?
Oh man, you know, I guess you know what I'm saying.
I know kind of what this face you're making.
Yeah,
You just do. You do.
right. I mean, it just kind of, when people ever, it's kind of weird, and I don't mean any disrespecting anybody,
Nah.
but like, whenever I get the, so being black question, I don't know how to answer because this is the only experience I know.
Right.
Right. And so, like, I mean, to me, it's just life. But yes, on a general sense, there is, I guess, a sense of like, oh, this is really cool. But like, to me also is not cool because why? At this point.
Right.
Like, it's not like distilling is new, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. So it's kind of like, and I have a good idea why. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But it's tough, and a lot of those hurdles, barriers of entry are tough.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I have way down in my family, my grandmother used to tell me that one of her cousins or uncles or somebody, they used to, distill and run liquor
joke.
Up through Independence, Texas.
It's in your blood. We finally found out.
Apparently, I didn't know. She told me that many years ago, but yeah, so I don't know, man. I guess I don't spend a lot of time on that.
Is the mindset more, I know what I got to do and I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to think about it and celebrate myself along the way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, you do want to take time to, quote, celebrate yourself in the sense of that, like, every time you see a bottle, I see a bottle of Highway on a shelf or a bar. Like last night I was in San Antonio and, going to these places and seeing people pour up Highway and enjoy it. Yeah, that's a celebratory moment.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, that's my little baby, you know what I'm saying, that was on the stove or whatever, and people are enjoying it. It's out here, and, I'll take my kids, like, whenever we see it somewhere in a store, I'm like, all right, see?
Yeah.
Remember when I used to make
I did it.
this?
I wasn't making it up, guys.
Right.
Like, this is
Remember I used to have you stirring that every 10 minutes while I ran back to the store because I forgot something? See, look, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Totally cool. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's more the turn on is seeing that thing that we talked about in the beginning out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And growing. And it's like, it's kind of like they say, it's like a kid. You know what I'm saying?
I know, man.
But I mean, I'm excited about like a lot of the things that are going on right now and the way the industry, I guess, is waking up to, recognizing some of those barriers of entry for minorities in this space because, clearly we have a lot to offer. And if, just need to, first of all, to even know it's a thing, and then secondly, is why not? Why not reach back and dip into a different pool of creativity that, really has not been tapped in this industry like that. I mean, you take Uncle Nearest. I mean, clearly there's a lot of legacy
Huge
involved in, we've been playing in this game. So why not now? You know what I'm saying? And not just being like fronted, like marketed by, but created by.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just, it never felt forced. It always felt seamless.
Right.
But it's like, to your point again, like why now? Why did it take?
Yeah, why did it take this long?
Why aren't we making gin together?
Right.
Like I think about that all the time. It's like, why aren't more people just collaborating?
Right.
Not based on the background or the race, but like, you love this shit.
Right.
And like, that's enough for me. Let's like work on a batch together.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's just,
I think people are, but like, and I need to do better as far as like getting more involved, so to speak, in the industry, I guess, as a whole. Just so busy, like, but I want to start going to these conferences, and doing all that kind of stuff, and getting to talk to more people, because that was one thing, like, I didn't have a lot of people to talk to, you know what I'm saying? In this business, I would just have to go on distillery tours, kind of like secret shopping, and then I would end up asking so many questions that they were like
you do this, don't you? I've been there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget, I was touring the McCormick's distillery, which used to be a hemp processing
I didn't know that.
business in the very beginning, in the 1800s. And so I'm looking around, and I'm asking my questions, And then we go to the bottling area, and it's massive, right? It's like the size of a Walmart. Beautiful space, like that this distillery was on. So nice. So, but they showed us the fermenters and stuff, fermentation area. They showed us the stills, continuous still. Obviously, it's McCormick, so whatever. Sure. But I was like, I was just like, hey, I kept asking questions. I was like, wait a minute, where are the other stills? You know, and they were just like, no, this is it. And I was like, I mean, this is the only stills on this whole site. And they were just like, yeah. I was like, and those are the only fermenters? Like, those are the batches? That's it? Yeah, this is it. And then you look at the bottling area. And so finally, I was like, but how can you make enough to do all of that? And then she was like, look, sir, it was sourced from... I was like, oh.
Yes.
Sorry.
Finally.
I didn't mean to, blow the bubble or whatever. Golden Triangle Energy or whatever. I was just like, oh, okay. Sorry. I'm just asking. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You no ill intent.
Yeah.
You're just curious.
Yeah, because the whole sourcing, at that point, I wasn't really hip to that whole thing, right. And so I just didn't know about it. Like I said, this was when it was just a hobby to me. And so that was just funny to make that realization of, sourcing and stuff. And there's, you can still get really creative by sourcing.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And so, and it's something that I actually kind of want to start playing with, because I would like to maybe create some kind of interesting blends and stuff like that. And like you were saying, partnering on batches and figuring things out. Collaborate.
Yeah, that's
basically
about,
what it is collaborating.
When you're doing promoting, right? What is it except to bring like-minded people together to have fun?
Right.
I mean, it's just a different industry.
Yeah, that's it.
So I got a couple questions left for you. I'm so glad you're not. We've been trying to make we've been trying to make this thing happen for months now. Now we're finally doing this thing. But I didn't know this. Luckily, we hung out and sipped a little bit of whiskey before. But so you don't have to disclose what the name is or anything. But you got some other projects in the works.
Yeah. So we have some whiskey coming this for the holidays. Same mash bill, just a little bit of rye added to it. Aged in 25-gallon American oak medium char barrels. The battle of it is, and I still haven't decided. I need to hurry up. We need to hurry up. We promised ourselves next week we will decide.
Oh wow!
But like, I don't know if I want to. Because I don't want to skew anything. But like, like we were kind of talking about out there.
Dude, we know you got. I know what you're gonna say. Some people are into the high octane stuff, and other people don't need that.
Right.
So it's hard for you, right, as an artist.
It's hard because, like, the flavors do live on the high side,
of course.
And then like, but then it's more palatable for more people on the low. So you got, and as a business guy, that's when the art meets the business, and I'm just not to a point to where I could just, it's all about art. At some point, you gotta be able to pay for stuff. But yeah, so, but I'm excited about that. It's going to be a very limited release because it's not sourced. It's what we actually made and stuff like that. And so, obviously it's not a shit ton of it, but I look forward to sharing it with the public and stuff like that. And the responses, I'm doing it the same way we did the vodka. I've been sampling it around. I have one barrel that I constantly pull from to sample people on and stuff like that at the various proofs and stuff, and getting good reviews on it. So I'm excited about being able to do that. And then our tasting room event space, we're going to be opening that next spring. Yeah, we got about 8 acres right next door to our current site. And that's where I get back into my concert bag and stuff like that. And yeah, man, just kind of all the stuff that I love to do and I have been doing for years kind of all rolled into one, you know what I mean?
That's the dream.
Yes.
Because you don't know when your past, your positive, creative past taps you on the shoulder.
Right.
But when it does, you're like, oh, right, I'm here now, but I can bring this in here too.
Yes. That was the whole thing with that. It's beautiful. It's like, literally it's 8 acres with a creek behind it, and it's like right on like 12 minutes down outside of downtown Houston.
Oh, nice.
So pretty much in the city.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So I know there's lots of stuff, the new what's next and kind of wanting to scale. It seems like I keep seeing this product more and more, which is obviously great for you.
Yeah.
No, not post-COVID. It's mid-COVID, I guess, right now. But things are kind of opening up. Mid-COVID, yeah. Because we don't really know what the other side is.
We're going to be mid for a while.
That's right. But so my last question for you, and I ask all my guests this, and let's say you're sipping your vodka anywhere in the world, doesn't matter where, right? And you can sip this vodka with anybody, living or deceased. Who might you like to sit down and have a chat and a drink with?
Golly, dude, that's a huge one.
And it changes every day for me.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, because right now it's kind of funny. Because on the way over here, driving up from San Antonio, I've been listening to this podcast about Warren Buffett. So right now in this moment, I would say Warren Buffett.
Perfect.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Because interesting dude.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? Like, interesting dude. And I love, man, the opportunity. And that's why I love what you do too, because I love to talk to people and figure out their story and like what makes them tick and why this and why that, you know, what lessons, you know, failure, what'd you sacrifice to do?
Right.
And like, even just like for Warren Buffett, it was interesting because like he sacrificed, right? But what did he sacrifice? It wasn't money. He sacrificed his relationships because his wife, he was always in his head or working. Even when he was home, he wasn't down there in the family, and stuff like that. And then he's traveling a lot and blah blah blah. You know, everybody's taken care of, but where are you? And so it's always going to be a sacrifice, dude, in some way. And so that's what it is. Is like what sacrifice are you willing to take, or do you even know that you're sacrificing? Like, that's what I would kind of ask him. Like, did you know that your wife was gonna leave you, even though they never got divorced?
Right.
But she's gonna leave you because you're just not around, and you got all the money on earth. But she's like, dude,
it's so weird, right?
Yeah. To
have like 80% of the things totally locked in, but the things that really matter, the ones you don't. Yeah.
And you just don't know, like, yeah, and that's so I would love to have a drink with him today and be like, hey, did you realize what you were sacrificing? Like, because you don't know. In his head, he might have been like, I'm trying to get out of here.
Yeah,
but you don't know. And I would just like to know that kind of stuff. But yeah, so this moment right now, today, I would just say that because
I love that.
I'm fresh off of that.
No, but that's what this is about, right? Like, I probably don't have an answer for it. Maybe John Taffer has been watching some goddamn much Bar Rescue.
I know. I like to talk to that dude too.
I would too, and I tried to get him on the show.
Really?
I've worked with this PR company, but it was COVID, so we'll see about that. But man, it's been just a delight talking to you about your story and
thank you, man.
You know, all the chapters and stuff.
It's like therapy for me too.
Well, one psychology major to the next.
Yeah, exactly.
Now my dad convinced me to not, and so I've got a business degree. But I sure shit tried to do clinical psychology. But yeah, I can't wait to see. I'll head to Houston here soon and we'll hang out. I'd love to see the new spot and everything.
Yeah, definitely, man. I look forward to it.
Yeah, cheers. We'll talk.
Let me know, man.
You got it. We'll talk soon, yeah?
Yes.
Cheers.
Yep.
So there we have it. Ben Williams of Highway Vodka. I think if you know me or have been listening to the show over the years, you might get a sense of how I personally feel about vodka. This is maybe the first vodka that I really enjoyed drinking. The use of hemp seeds and all that oil that's in the distillate, once you taste it, it's just delicious. And it's great to sip with Ben and talk about his journey. I really want to get down to Houston to see the distillery. I think he might have mentioned it, but he's working on some whiskey, and I can't wait to taste that too, especially with that brain and that palate of his. So thanks everybody for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter how many movies you watch during the month of October, or if you're thinking, man, it's good to be back on the podcast, please keep dancing.